Hello everyone, it is Mrs. Hamilton here to read another story to you. The story I have to read to you today is one of my favorite stories. We've read it in class a couple times and you guys loved it so much that I thought I would read it for you so you can listen to it while you are at home. Now it is called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. We always think about this when we read this one, is we have to think about what we think the story of the Three Little Pigs is. So take a second, pause it, and see if you can tell your family what the story of the Three Little Pigs is. You think about how there was three of them, the wolf came and he huffed and he puffed and he blew down their houses. And remember, he was called the Big Bad Wolf. So see if you can retell that story real quick. And once you've done that, now you have to think, there are two sides to almost every story when you think about it. It might happen one way for somebody and a different way for somebody else. Well, this poor wolf in this story, he says he's not big and bad. He says that it was all a misunderstanding. So let's read to find out what Mr. Wolf has to say about his side of the story, which he says is the true side. So the true story of the Three Little Pigs, as told by John Skeitza, illustrated by Lane Smith. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story, because no one has ever heard my side. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, you folks would probably think you were big and bad too. I think that's true. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneeze and cold, and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? Does seem like a silly idea. So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't just want to walk into somebody else's house, so I called, "Little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without my cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of a pile was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner just lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger, just lying there. Would you eat a big cheeseburger if you just found it? I was feeling a little bit better, but I still didn't have a cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig? Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know good food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake, so I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, wolf, and don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar. He wouldn't even give me one little cut from my dear old sweet granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, and your old granny can sit on a pin. That is not nice. Now, usually I'm a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? Would you loan him a cup of sugar? What do you think? Do you think that's the true story? Or do you think the little pigs tell the truth? I don't know, but it sure is fun to think about. Think about that poor wolf. Maybe he really wasn't that big and bad. Who knows? Bye, guys. Have a great day.